Hi everyone, how you doing? Philip here for another vlog on this series of videos trying to explain a little more what it is that I do exactly every day. So for the last couple of days, I've been focusing a bit less on my net label, which I still had to do some stuff for, sending out some emails and stuff like that. But mostly I've been trying to focus on writing, doing some creative writing stuff. It's not something that I've done a lot of in the past. I have written for well over 20 years on and off sporadically. I was very much into poetry at some point. Then I kind of drifted away from that, and then I started trying to write short stories, but I never really published any of them. They always felt somewhat weak or bleak or not quite up to the standard that I would hope for. And last couple of years, I've been trying to do it a little bit more again, and I've been taking the opportunity of some anthology competitions being open or call for submissions being open, and trying to use the deadline to force me to try to do something. So I finished one story a couple of weeks ago for this wine punk anthology that was ending at the end of November, and now at the end of December there are like 5 different calls there are about to close. So I'm trying to submit at least 2 of them, and I had one pretty much already well lined up, the solarpunk one. And for those who don't know what solarpunk is, it's kind of like the positive vibe version of cyberpunk. So cyberpunk is very known, especially now because the game just got released, so it's really hyped right now. So cyberpunk is like a dystopian future, and you're trying to cope to survive inside this dystopian future. And solarpunk is more like, why are we doing dystopian futures? We should be aiming for utopian futures and showing a way out of the situations that we are, how we can come together and find a solution. And so that's how solarpunk was sort of born. It's a bit of a broad genre. I haven't read any. I read some books who can be considered solarpunk, but I haven't read anything that's like explicitly solid. This is solarpunk exactly. Like when I read something from William Gibson, I know that this is cyberpunk. I haven't read that with solarpunk, so I have a bit of a difficulty knowing exactly what solarpunk is. But what Wikipedia says is that it's about utopian futures and people coming together trying to figure out solutions. Has a lot of influence from Asian cultures and African cultures, solar powered stuff, renewable energies kind of stuff, and it's about positive futures. So yeah, that's what I heard of it. That's what I know of it. So my idea, and I don't really know if I should be talking about the story because the submission rules said that it's supposed to be submitted blind, but I didn't read anywhere there that I couldn't talk about it to my channels. I hope the juries aren't seeing this. If they are, please turn off the video and don't see this so you don't have to disqualify me or whatever. So so yeah, the story that I figured out was trying to make a library work in a small city of the inside of Portugal in particular. I was a bit inspired by a lot of talks that I had with Christina, my wife, and other people from the Portuguese booktube, and that about the role of libraries in our society, because people have this bad concept that libraries are places that only poor people go to get books when they can't afford, and that it's only good for nerds who like to read and doesn't really serve any other purpose. And there's a lot of prejudice against the role of a librarian going into a library. It's not cool to go to the library, and it's been something that's been in our culture for many decades. And we lived in Finland for a couple of years, me and Christina. And the libraries in Finland are phenomenal. They really listen to what society needs, and they try to find things that will help society in that way, and bring people more together. So and I really love discovering that. They give you a lot more leeway. There's not like petty theft in Finland. They do have petty theft of bicycles, but not like books and stuff like that. So the lending is a lot more lenient. People respect the place a lot more, the property of the public property a lot more in that regard. So the libraries there work in a much more open way and in a much more friendly way. You can get your books online or reserve them online. Uh, you can deliver them on another place in the country, like borrow a book. It's in some country up north, and you can deliver it on the south. There's no problem with that. So they all work as a network, and they all aim to serve the public as best as possible, not just with books, but with other stuff as well. They promote music and creating a production of audio and things like that. And also serve as a way to reach other countries, other cultures, and promote people learning languages and doing their own workshops and repairing stuff. They have a lot of maker spaces culture also inbred into the libraries there, which it was phenomenal to witness. And I wonder, why don't we import that in Portugal? Why don't we have that culture? And I thought a lot about that, and this story was a good opportunity to try to do that. So I imagined a rural city, and there is a lot of hype on about rural tourism, or young people who are looking, who are tired of living in the city with the expensive cost of living in a city, apartment rental, and that kind of stuff. So they're looking for a place where they can do sustainable agriculture and things like that, and also recover houses and rent them for cheap, do rural tourism and things like that, and at the same time help regentrify villages who are becoming too old because all the young people have left to the city and don't care to come back. So there is a bit of this tendency to try to recover all these old villages and towns and bring them, spice them up, and make them more attractive for young people to go there and tourists to go there and make it more viable again or vibrant as a community. So I thought libraries should be on the focus of that. If we have like a small city or a villa with, I don't know, 100 inhabitants, 150, something relatively small, we could, by having a strong library there that listens to the public, has enough funds and leeway and moral determination to push forward something that is revolutionary, not just for the villa, but for the cities around it, for the whole country even. It could bring a lot of attention there from the neighboring cities, from even the main cities, and bring back tourism and bring back more activity to the city, and also, bring more education as well to the city, which is important. That's the role of a library. It's not just a place to store books that are available for public consumption. It should be a place where people come together and socialize and exchange ideas and do all those kind of things. So I started imagining the most ideal library in my head, something that could be extremely modular, that could be amplified easily, connect everything, would try to use renewable energies as much as possible, use rainwater, use solar energy, be friendly for the ecosystem. You could also do some special modules inside to do like special bakery things, special repair workshop repair sections, makerspace sections, even computer advanced virtual reality and stuff like that, audio production, music production, something that would make people interested in making music and relearning, merging the old history or music history of the zone with new tendencies and new explorations in music, and trying to figure out a way to explore that and distribute that, not just physically but digitally as well. Bring the history of the whole city, the legacy of the whole city to the whole world, and improve tourism in that way. So I imagine this scenario, and my idea for the short story is to do a presentation where a person is exposing the success that this library had throughout the latest few years in this fictitious villa in the middle of Portugal that has this and that kind of features on the library. So yeah, I wrote most of it already, but I want to do a few revisions on it, and I had a few ideas of things that I want to add to it, but I haven't really gotten around to it. And meanwhile, I got an idea for something completely different, which was speculative fiction, which was another call that was also open until the 31st of December. And I figured out, okay, I have this all of these calls open. I should really be working on something else as well. And I got this crazy idea to the call was about trying to do something that is sci-fi or speculative fiction, as they call it, with a very Portuguese touch. So a very specific Portuguese characteristic, and not just like a quirk, like using, I don't know, fado as a musical genre in your story, but having like the main focus of the story and be focused about that. So I thought about a few very Portuguese things, like Portuguese gastronomy, the Mastor, the giant, this mythical creature invented by Camões, one of our most famous writers from the 16th century, I think. So yeah, and I tried to bring all of those together, and I did this weird Mason gathering where they're trying to summon the giant at the Mastor through this ritual of eating a lot of Portuguese food. And yeah, I try to make it a bit tongue in cheek. Um, it became a bit. I also been having a lot of Lovecraft influences because I've been reading Lovecraft anthology. So I try to have some horror elements in it, but then they became sort of comical, and they became so comical in the way that they're like bathroom comical, or they make you sick, and you start to take it so far to the point where it's no longer funny, but it actually is making people sick who read it. So I thought, maybe I'm going too far in this direction. Maybe I shouldn't be making jokes about people shitting themselves so much. So let's try to tone it down and try to figure out a halfway term to say the story without making people really sick. Just make it funny, not nauseous for the reader. But at the same time, I wanted for the narrator to be experiencing or explaining something as if it suffered a real horror, and then it become like this ridiculous thing. So I'm not sure I quite hit the nail on the head, but it was a first draft, so I want to revise it a few times and see how that works. The problem is that today is the 12th, and I'm pretty sure my kid will have some holidays, some seasonal holidays. We don't know when because the daycare hasn't told us yet what are the days that they are open, which days they are closed. I'm pretty sure that the days that they will be closed, I will not be able to write. So I'm pretty sure that writing 5 short stories till the end of December is not going to happen. If I manage to write these two or finish these two, which are already half written, I would be pretty happy. So I was trying to finish them today. But today, my wife stayed working at home, and she insisted that I gave her a master class on how to do half-tone stuff using Inkscape, which I never done in my life. But she somehow figured that I was the best person to teach her, and we spent the whole morning trying to do that. So yeah, I couldn't really do anything, any writing. And then during the afternoon, I was trying to write a bit more, and I was caught up helping, well, not just today, but also yesterday, trying to help Super Rogue figure out the best way to organize this super size coding event for the demo scene stuff, which I guess it's not publicly announced just yet, but it's starting to shape itself up like it's gonna be a reality and should be announced relatively soon. It's gonna be before revisions somewhere in March, I believe. And Super Rogue has been cooking some cool ideas, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I should play some part in hosting that in some shape or form. If things go according to plan, you never know. So, yeah, I ended up just typing a lot on Discord instead of actually writing stuff, and then answering emails about Enough Records, about the other stuff, and then talking with a Russian friend who has some mental issues, and I was just catching up with him. So yeah, ended up not writing anything today at all. So yeah, I'm gonna try to compensate on Monday because tomorrow is dealing with the kid day. Kid is home for the weekend and no time to do anything. Just watch over the kid. So yeah, that was my day. Hope yours has been going pretty well as well. So yeah, see you next video. Feel free to leave some comments below, all that jazz. See you next time. Bye bye everyone. Take care.